We got Hards on. We're going to the end.
Yeah, this is the end. Odds on going to the end. This is the end. Yeah, no. Yeah, it's sad. Don't know what you're gonna do with your time now that you can't watch men drive around in circles. That's just life. I'm the same. You know. Here's the thing. Here's a little tip for you people, right? Who are struggling with coming to terms with what you're gonna do now that Formula One's not gonna come back for another 3, 4 months. If you can't watch men drive around in circles, you know, watch men take another sort of game very seriously. Watch men run around on the pitch instead. Football, honestly, you know what I mean? It's, transfer. Now, football's still my number one. That's sort of sacrilegious for me to admit here on a Formula One podcast. But you gotta find your coping mechanisms. And like, if you're like, look, I've not been, but if you're addicted to like, crack cocaine, and you also dabble in a bit of the devil's lettuce, right? You know that sweet Mary Jane. And you're partial to a drink. You like your vices, right? Maybe don't go cold turkey on all of it at once. Maybe let's like get off the coke, but like don't give up the weed. Like still smoke. Like let's just like not go. Like people who are okay, let's not do like fentanyl and shit. Let's just calm down a bit. Okay, let's just go to like even simple cigarettes. Like we're not just gonna chuck them away. Chuck away your. I'm trying to think of a cigarette brand. Um, Marlboro. Is that how you pronounce it? That's very Formula One, right? No. And look, people don't want to hear this, but you grab a vape. You know what I mean? You grab a vape because you get a nicotine patch. This is what I'm trying to say. Formula One's gone, sure. Get on the women, get on the netball. Chuck on a bit of boccia, right? You can't go cold turkey, guys. You won't last. Soft, medium, hard awards, race rundown, rate my quality. We're gonna do all of that. First of all, though, there was sort of breaking my silence level, which is a reference to that woman who the YouTube video Breaking My Silence, where she exposes James Charles. And if you're going to expose someone, right, and you've had enough, and you're going to start what the youth call beef, right, you need to have receipts, which the youth use for evidence. And George Russell had that. George Russell, Max Verstappen. I love that. And the best kind of like rivalry and like just arguments. I don't need the like for me. It's way better to see like I would just love to see Guan Yu Zhou go at Gasly. You know what I mean? Because there's nothing on the line there, and that's how it's like I just this is regardless of anything. I just want to say this shit. I mean, I got some of the quotes written down here, like probably out of order. Not that the quotes are out of order, just that the order I have them in are probably out of order. But Max going, I've been in the meeting room many times, and I've never seen someone screw someone over that hard. And that for me, I lost all respect. George clapped back. Now, George, here's the thing: regardless of what side of the fence you sit on, right? You have to love what George is doing. Simply, like, regardless if you hate George, regardless of if you think every single point he's making is wrong, just the emotion in which he delivered, like these statements, the meaning behind his eyes. I loved that. The pauses, the breaths he would take, the emphasis and the repetition on some words, not breaking eye contact. Making the interviewer question it as well. Like it was just like this is great stuff here. This is great stuff from George. I just got some of the lines here that I liked. Now he's made it personal, and someone needs to stand up to a bully like this. This is very Steve Rogers of George. Like, and by the way, in the scene where Steve Rogers goes, I don't like bullies. All I know is I don't like bullies. In that scenario, they're talking about fighting the Nazis. So this is the level that George Russell is at right now with Max Verstappen. But so George Russell's very much like, I'm gonna make a stand. I'm gonna say what everyone else is too scared to say, which is funny because we'll get onto that in a minute. Because like they asked Lando Norris about it later, and he's like, I love it. Honestly, I'd love them to keep fighting. It's great. Max is a cool guy. George is a cool guy. They don't have to like each other, but they're pretty chill. Like he was saying it like everyone else in the paddock. I'm gonna be welcome back a hero for saying this type thing, and it's just like I'm like maybe like Lewis probably, yeah, and like Landis had his moments, but I don't think there's loads of people in there who was like, yeah, George said what needed to be said. Like, well, like, you know, with like in the, I don't know if I'm stealing this from someone else, if I heard someone else say this or not. I don't remember where, if I did hear someone else say it, but it's kind of like, the nerd sort of standing up to the bully, sort of at lunchtime. I definitely must have heard this somewhere, but I don't know who said it, but the nerd standing up to like the bully, you know, in the cafeteria. You know, he's had his head dunked in the he's had enough swirlies, and like they're coming over, come on now, Georgie Puzzle or something, like, you know, stupid sort of insult name, and then George is standing there, you know, come on, give us your lunch money, and then this time, no. No, and I'm going to stand up for all the other kids and all the other losers, you know, Urkel in the corner, everyone sort of is like, their ears go up, and George says the thing, and he gets the shit beat out of him, obviously. Obviously, he gets the shit beat out of him, but he says the thing, and he goes back to the, you know, where the nerds all sit next to the bins, and they were like, you know, he has at least respect amongst his peers, but in this scenario, it's like, I don't know if there is that camaraderie around, we all need to like, we're all sitting having secret meetings where Max isn't there talking about his behaviour and how it's out of hand. But anyway, back to what George was saying. So far, people have let him get away with murder. It's a bold claim. It's a bold claim, and he says that without smiling. Well, of course, but he says it like literal, like almost in a literal sense. He also added, I find his comments pretty ironic. When he comes out and says, I'm going to purposefully crash into you, I'm going to put you on your fucking head in the wall. Now he's getting a bit emotional at this point. That's taking it too far. And this kind of, like, recently, and like I said, I love George for doing this, but recently, Tommy Fury backed out of a fight with Darren Till, a boxing match. Darren Till, I think, is a UFC fighter. Tommy Fury's, I was going to say a boxer. That's flattering. He's like, yeah, he is technically a boxer. He's part of the Fury family. So Tyson Fury, the older brother, who's, you know, let's just say slightly more decorated. Tommy Fury is most of his competitors, not most, but, you know, look, KSI almost beat him. Okay, that's, I think that's kind of getting the point across, right? But he was meant to have a fight with Darren Till, who's a UFC fighter, more experience, more skin in the game, but in a different sort of discipline, UFC. And, you know, Darren Till was like, if I think the fight's not going my way, I'm gonna start throwing some head kicks. I'm gonna start we're gonna grapple on the ground. I'm gonna beat the living shit out of you, type thing. And then Tommy Fury posted in the story, released a statement like, I'm dropping out. I'm pulling out of this fight. He said he was going to kick me in the head, and he said he was going to turn into a UFC scrap. That's not the rules. That's not the rules. And it's like, yeah, not actually, mate. Like, yeah, he said those things as like, because he's angry and he's building up to a fight, and it's, you know, mental warfare and all that stuff. But like, not literally. Like, you know, when like a boxer says to another boxer, I'm going to literally kill you, I'm going to put your head on the canvas, you know, you're dead type thing. You can't go to court and use that as like attempted murder. He wants to kill me, and he said it here first, guys. Lock him up. Like, this is just a thing people say. After the boxing match, they you know, they usually touch gloves, they'll handshake type thing. So I don't ever, even though Max did say that, you know, it's like, George took it in such a literal sense. Like, when you're saying you're going to purposefully crash into me, when you say you're going to put me on my fucking head in a wall, that's taking things too far. Yeah, but he didn't. Like the Jeremy Clarkson clip. But they didn't type thing. Like, yeah, I was just mad, and I said I was, you know, but I'm obviously not going to purposely drive you into, like, he was fearing for his life type thing here. He then starts to, now this is the smart play. Because whether he believes it or not, I think he does in the moment, but like, this is really going to win people over. And what I saw people get, like, really giving him love for it on the Twitter sphere, was Lewis stood up to him. In 2021, Lewis lost that championship unfairly. Could you imagine the roles being reversed? I mean, Massey would be fearing for his life. Again, George alluding to Max, you know, murderous, wanting to kill. You know, so far we've had People have let him get away with murder. You know, he said he was going to purposely crash into me, put me on my head in a wall. And now we've had Massey would be fearing for his life. Massey, like, Max is like a villain and like a bully, but in the world of like a sport. Like, in a sense of like, I'm going to really get my elbows out and I'm going to be rude on the radio. Not like in actual life. You know, I think like he's actually a pretty normal guy. Like he's just on the sim or whatever. He's just like relatively normal. And the way Lewis dealt with that championship fight, you know, he was hard, he was aggressive, but he was always respectful, and he never went beyond the line. I think he has been enabled because no one has stood up to him. Lewis did in 2021 and lost unfairly. It's time to make a stand, people, and you know, I have to say I can only give credit to George for doing that because like, even though George is like being very, as you know, George is being very George, right? And he's like, you know, he's saying it with so much emotion and maybe he's being a little bit dramatic or whatever. Because ultimately he's saying all of this because he got called Two-Face, basically. Like, this all stemmed from, this is like where he drew the line. Max came out and called George like a two-faced little snake or something. And this triggered George to be like, okay, no. And he went home and he practiced the monologue and he went and got the receipts. He went and got, yep, round here. He went wide. Yep, that lap. He pushed someone off. Yep, that lap. He threatened to kill. You know, and, you know, he kind of did all that. And I like it because most drivers, true, they wouldn't say anything. And this is just what's so great about Formula One, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. God, can you imagine in other sports? Max then replied to all of this and was like, "That's not true." That he said he would drive into all. I didn't say it like that. Your Honor, I didn't say it like that. He's trying to exaggerate it again. Do you know what else I can't stand? That he attacks me in an unacceptable way with the stewards. And then he comes back a day later as if nothing is wrong. You know, he slaps me on the shoulder. And at that point, I'm thinking, stay away from me for a while. He makes up all of these things that just aren't true. With me, you always get the same thing. Here at home with the stewards, I don't change. You can say that about everyone. Oh, you can't say that about everyone. Sorry, Max, don't mean to misquote you there. But I'm not surprised by that with him. George is a backstabber. Let's double down. That he brings all this stuff up. He's just a loser, which I love. He lies and pastes all kind of things together that aren't true. I only gave my opinion about his behavior with the stewards. He's clearly not into that. What he said about 2021, that's how it went down with the stewards. He insinuates a lot of things that don't make sense. When told that Russell was in tears at one point, which is kind of out of order from whoever was like talking to Max, he wasn't in tears. Like, yeah, he was getting very like serious with it, and his eyes were maybe a little bit glassy, and his voice was a bit shaky as he was like, you know, sending his message. You're just setting Max up here to take the piss more. Max couldn't suppress a smile. He wasn't that dramatic with the stewards last week. Maybe next time it will be. Then I'll bring the tissues. Just classic Max Verstappen there with a sort of thinking on the spot. Because in terms of like their rap beef, like if there was like George would come with like a really well made like you know 16 bars or whatever, I don't know how many, and then Max would come and George's would be really good and it would cut really deep, but Max can freestyle is the thing. And like once George has used up all his material and then Max comes back with a quick reply, I don't know how good George is on his toes. But all of this talk about each of them losing respect for each other, I'm just like, I've done nothing. All of this has done nothing for me apart from gaining respect for both of them. Like, I just like George more now. I like Max more now because I just like people who make the sport entertaining, and I appreciate that. It's that simple. I love this game. But it's just crazy. Like, can you imagine Messi and Ronaldo being like that? You know, Messi being like, "Oh, Ronaldo, arrogant knob. He's a knob, mate. Fucking arrogant fucking knobhead." And then Ronaldo like, Messi called you an arrogant knobhead, and him being like, "Oh, little fucking hobbit, you know, fucking, you know, that didn't deserve that World Cup, you know, Saudi League's better than MLS, fucking American, fucking little daft gnome," type thing. Like, I don't think he'd be saying it like that. He'd, you know, probably be a bit more of a Portuguese finesse on it, but like, it would just be crazy. It would literally shatter the internet. But in Formula One, you just kind of get that stuff just like off the cuff. I just love it, man. Um, but yeah, I mean, we should probably actually talk about more like actual stuff that isn't just EastEnders storylines. That isn't just I'm really feeling like I'm in my spilling tea era at the moment. I'm like, and then he said, and then Max said, and then George cried, and then Crofty said, but I don't even care. I can't even pretend like it's not tickling my taint. Anyway, anything else we got going here? I mean, again, just so much stuff to talk about that just isn't the race. I mean, I don't know how long this one's going to be, but it's the end of the season, so may as well. But just the simple fact that, like, yeah, I haven't acknowledged it, but yeah, a race did occur. People came from the back. People won the constructors. People, this happened, that happened. Podiums, cooldown rooms. All of the actual important stuff did happen, but I couldn't really ignore that because there is like a recency bias for the weekend. Like, you got like 3 days where like things are going to be happening. And sometimes really interesting, good stuff happens, but it happens on like the Friday or the Saturday. And then by the time the race happens, it's so easy to forget about. I couldn't forget about this, man. This was like, one does not simply forget about, and especially if that boils over into next season, which I can only hope it does. But I mean, 4 months, time's a healer, unfortunately. They also had that dinner. They did indeed sit as far away from each other as possible. And, right, cool. Right, cool. And it's kind of like, when you're going into like a bathroom and there's like a bunch of urinals and it's like, oh, boys, when you go in the bathroom and there's all the urinals, there's like a best one to pick depending on how many are being used at that given time. It's like if someone's at the one by the wall, you go to the one completely on the other end of the wall. It's, how do you always pick the right one type thing? And they pick the exact right seats in the table scenario. It's like, yeah, sit on the same side but far away as possible. You can't like make eye contact across the table type thing. For like, from his point of view, Max wasn't even at that dinner type thing. And by the way, the urinal question, correct answer is the stool. Use the toilet. Anyway, Lawson apparently gonna replace Sergio. I never call him Checo. By the way, I don't think I really ever call Sergio Perez Checo on the podcast, and I will admit that is a conscious thing I do. Just because I'm like, when I'm not pally with Checo. I'm not calling you Checo when you're not even getting to Q3, and I just did them by accident. But anyway, Sergio Perez, apparently he's going to be replaced by Lawson. Poor Tsunoda, poor Yuki Tsunoda. Like, I like Lawson. I'd be happy with Lawson getting it. What I will say though is, Tsunoda did something at some point. He's given them the real ick. He's not wifey material. He's not, and it's like, why? People can change. And like, even if at once he wasn't that, it's like, yeah, but like, it's kind of like getting bullied by, I don't know if this is a hot take. This isn't coming from an ex-bully. XL bully breed. This isn't coming from an ex-bully or an ex, what do you call people who get bullied? I was going to say victim, but then that makes it sound like I'm lying about the bully thing. Is there a name for people who get bullied? I don't know, but this isn't coming from someone who's been on either side of things. But it's kind of like getting bullied, right? In primary school or even secondary school, really. When you actually, someone used to call you like pizza face or something every day, and it did make your life hell. But then you meet them again later in life, and they're like 37, and you're like 36. And like, hey man, what's up? How's life been? Hey man, that's good and that and this and that. And like holding a grudge and being like, fucking asshole. It's like, I get you might not want to be pally. Like, you actually made that an enjoyable time of my life for me, where most people maybe are enjoying their childhood a lot more better than that. And you sort of really affected my sort of life even today. Like, if the bullying was that deep for you, but like in terms of just general getting name called and stuff is what I'm more alluding to. It's like, even secondary school, we have to deep it. Like, when you're in secondary school and stuff, you're like 13. I know you go up to 16 or whatever, but like, yeah, secondary school is like 10, 11 to like 16. So like, someone was like being like an asshole or a bad person when they was like 12. It's like not the person you are. Like, you can't really hold someone to that. Like, when they're like 30 years old. Like, imagine trying to get in a relationship and it's like, oh wait, when you was 13, you used to call people names. Yeah, cancel the wedding. Yeah, that's not gonna That's not going to stop. Like, two people are getting married. If anyone cares to stop this now, speak now. And then like a man runs in and says that guy bullied me when we was 13, and then actually calling it off. It's like people change, especially when you was a child when this stuff happened. Stealing money and shoplifting and like, you know, setting off the fire alarm and just, shooting spitballs and stuff, and just like the general sort of just like weird but also menial, just because it's just how everyone does kind of nonsense. Like you would just go into the bathroom for no reason, and I would do this on my own. I'd go in there, I'd pee, I'd walk out, I'd wash my hands, I'd get some tissue, I'd wet it, and just for my just to make me feel something, I would just throw it up on the ceiling and then walk out and go about my day. I don't do that anymore because I'm not 13 years old. Like Yuki Tsunoda, yeah, he was an angry. I was gonna say little, sure, you got me. He was an angry man, right? Coming into the sport, he shouts, he can be reckless, this and that. At this point, he's very like comfortable. He's 100% one of the most underrated drivers on the grid. Like he goes about his business, he does the best he can with what is mid machinery, and like it's still, oh no, we can't go near Yuki. Ugh, it's too hot around him. As if like, oh, we in their world they hire Yuki, he says like a slur or something, and then we actually did say a slur this season technically, the R word, which yeah, but their whole thing is like, oh, we can't touch that. Oh, no, we can't get him. He's not Shia LaBeouf, you know what I mean? LaBeouf, however you want to say it. He's not Shia LaBeouf, you know? It's not exactly, oh, we can't go near that type thing. Who did I see a post about today? He was like, an interview of him talking about being exiled from Hollywood. James Franco. Oh, it might be a little bit bad for press. Like, he's a good driver. He's been in the sport a while. Like Lawson, I think is good, but that is more in a similar vein to going for like an Albon. It's closer to an Albon and a Gasly than it is in a more experienced name. And I just think, like, if Yuki wouldn't get it now, he would like it's basically just never on the cards type thing. He would never get it because it's like, oh, Yuki's too rash, he's too hot headed, and he's too loose lipped, I guess, or something. Which just feels like. Yeah, it just feels like someone being misprofiled for like I don't even know. It's just like he'll never get it. He'll never get it type thing. But I like Lawson regardless. They had that fake podium. I thought this happened. Was this before the race or like after the race? I thought this was happening after qualifying or like before qualifying. They had that fake podium with Brad Pitt for that F1 movie. Which, by the way. What a weird concept for a film. The fact that the drivers are just like basically extras in the film. And technically underpaid extras because none of them are making they're just happy to be in a Brad Pitt's film. But they should at least be making about £150 for their services a day in these services for these films or whatever. But like they're all just acting as sort of unpaid extras, volunteer extras in this film in the background. And just doing random scenes, lining up, national anthem on the podium and stuff. And like, yeah, I assume that was happening before the race. And oh yeah, just the craziest thing because you just know, everyone just, and it's not like the type of film where you don't know how it's going to end. It seems like a very simple story. The point of the film is just to like, a good summer flick, you go in there, whoa, going fast, cars. It's a Top Gun Maverick. It's a, whoa, the camera's on the cars, that looks cool, that looks great. And you enjoy it, and it's like a film, wow, the movies are back type thing, right? But yeah, it's just like we've seen every single story beat of this film just at every other Grand Prix, like people collapsing, people crashing out, people on the podium, and all the Instagram posts and stuff. But the fact that it happened after the race is just the craziest thing in the world because Charles Leclerc is just like, fuck, we lost the constructors. Gave it all I could. I drove from P18 on the grid. I made it like 14 places. I gave it my all. Sainz, but pretty much a flawless race. How far is Sainz? Yo guys, how far is Sainz from Norris? Gap to the lead? 7.5 seconds. Fuck! I'm in the cool down room. Zach Brown's there. Oh, yeah, whoa, whoa. You know, he's doing all that. You know, you could have done it, but you didn't, but you could have. And if this scenario happened, would you guys have mathematically all sitting in there doing the sort of the count on their fingers, and he's just like, I wanted the constructors, man. He has to go up there again and do 2 takes of being on the podium like he's gassed. When in his head he's just thinking like, you know, didn't quite get it done. He probably also wanted a little part of himself, as he probably wanted to be second as well. That didn't happen in terms of the drivers. So lost out on 2 things. At least he got on the podium, but at least he got on Brad Pitt's podium too. So that'll be great for his IMDb. So he can take that home with him. Doohan is a very normal rookie. He's came in and slowest in qualifying, like dead last pretty much. And that's just like, it's been a while because that hasn't happened in a while. Usually like, even if they are actually crap, they still for some reason do really well in the first weekend. Like, Behrman might be mid, but his first weekend he was pretty good. De Vries did not work, but again, his first race he was good. Colapinto came in and started off really good and then kind of went down a little bit. But Doohan's been the first guy in a while who's just came in and been like, oh no, this is how you'd expect it to usually be. Like, you sort of come in and it's like a learning, it's a learning curve. You're going to come in, you're going to not do great, you're going to be slow, and eventually get quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker, and that's the whole thing. But a bit of baptism of fire. He was just plumb last, didn't make a single impression the entire weekend. Oh man, Perez pissed me off. It's crazy we're 26 minutes in and I've not even got to the race yet, but Perez did indeed piss me off again because I hate when he does this, man. Oh my god, I hate when he does this. He did it the other day when they put him back out to do another lap, but they didn't need to or something, and he was screaming at the engineers or whatever. And then this time round, Sergio Perez, lap time deletion. This is what happens. Sergio Perez, you've got your lap time deleted. No, I don't think so, mate. How clear is it? Seemed pretty clear. Seems like they were right. No, check. So they check, and it gets deleted. They then talk to him like, Sergio Perez, hey Sergio, yeah, it was reinstated, and he's like yelling, like, why have you put me back out? I told you to check. I told you, and it's like, yeah, we did check. That's why it got reinstated. But he was also mad about having to go out again on tyres when they could have saved some or whatever. And it's just like, read the room, man. I'm tired of saying this. Like, I just think on like a person level, like, I get you're a competitor and you're still trying to make the most of the races you have left, but like, you've been so bad. I know that he keeps denying it to the point of where I don't even know if he knows that he's basically out of a job, because he keeps saying, "Oh no, I'm here. I'm contracted," as if those things are like blood contracts and they're like, sort of, unbreakable bond Harry Potter vibes. But like, he's shouting an abuse at his employers, and it's like, you're unemployed, you muppet. It is insane. It's like getting fired from a job, and but you've got like a week notice or something, or like, and so that they want you gone. You're incompetent, and yet you're having meetings with your manager like, oh, this needs to change. My pay needs to go up because I'm not making enough. It's like, mate, what are you doing? What are you getting angry about? What are you talking? You're here just simply out of just like you're hearing body, but not spirit or really anything else. It's just insane to be shouting like that all the time, and it pisses me off, to be honest. And most of the time as well, he makes the mistakes. He makes the mistakes and then he gets angry about it. It's like in this weekend he qualified P10, right? P10. Anyway, which is, by the way, one of his better qualifiers. But when he qualifies P10, he gets to Q3, and he's angry at his team as if they were really gonna cost him anything. Like, did that happen in Q1 or Q2? Because if it happened in Q2, where he would have finished like my point is, you spilt a drink, and then he was like, "Hey, could you help me out? Could you get me out of the situation I've put myself in? And could you go get me something to clean up with?" And they come back with a dustpan and brush. Granted, that ain't the right equipment for the situation. But like, then berating them and being like, "You fuckers, come on guys, you incompetent like the most competent team, sorry, on the entire grid, you almost never make a mistake. And your teammate is P1 and you finish like P9 or something in the driver table. And the second something isn't perfect for you, even when it's meant to dig you out of your own hole, you're shouting at them. It's like, mate, when he was shouting on the radio, like, "Oh, come on, man!" Like when Carlos Sainz does that, or like anyone at Ferrari when Ferrari was in that period of just constantly making mistakes, or when you're a team who doesn't get many chances and you finally get in there, or like um, Lawson maybe when they dropped him but it wasn't actually on properly, or like they told someone to pit the other day. I think it was Albon or someone. They told him to pit, or Science said come in, or don't come in the last second type thing, and because they just wasn't ready. It's like there is times where it's warranted and in the heat of the moment to be, but in like a qualifying, which you have trademarked being bad at qualifying this year, on top of being bad at everything else, and then and then for something they didn't even get wrong. Like, what are you angry about? And at the simple fact of that they put you back out, that they sent you back out on tyres, that's the only thing you can really be mad about because we checked, like you asked, and it was reinstated. And what did you repay us with? Yep, it was reinstated. Now go forth. Oh, P10. Oh man, no, Sergio, no, 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 did not like that. What else do we have there? To be fair though, Lewis, you have to say the same. Qualifying's been really bad, but at least he's been honest about that. At least he's sat there in the qualies and been like, yeah, I'm bad at it now, but I'm going to Ferrari. But I'm a bad qualifier now. And ultimately, does it really matter? Does it really matter if you can't qualify when you finish ahead of your teammate anyway? Doesn't really matter. So there's that. And ultimately, all I could be happy about was that there was the saving grace that was the bollard, and I felt this similarly with Daniel Ricciardo, so I'm used to this. But the amount of times you're watching a race and someone qualifies bad, doesn't get to Q3, and like, please tell me something happened. Tell me the car. Apparently tell me there was an engine issue. Tell me someone was going slow on their fast lap. Tell me whatever. I'm like, oh no, he was P18. He didn't improve. There has to be a reason right now because this is my guy and I can't. And then when I see the bollard thing, it's like, oh, yep, yep, it's the DiCaprio meme. Where there's a blame, there's a claim. The bollard could have been, it could have been the size of a Tic Tac. And I would have been like, yep, that's probably cost him about, 9/10 there. The drag's a real thing, guys. Yeah. But like it was actually something that would have slowed him down, scraping on the thing. But I needed that. But there's a blame measure claim. Oh, bad luck, guys. My luck's terrible, type thing. And then it kind of gives a bit more of a something to fight for on the last race. And then lap time was the lead for Leclerc, P20, because he had the 10th place grid penalty. Perez P10. Great for him. He might want to take a picture, put it on his mantle. That's big stuff for him. Frame it, type thing. Gasly P6. He's been cooking towards the end of this season. Hulkenberg P4, but he starts P7 because he did something apparently. Verstappen P5. It will start P4. Yeah. And Norris was on pole, which decent. Was he on? No, was he on? No, he wasn't on pole. He was on the sprint pole. But if he didn't get fucked in that final race, yeah, he could have won 5 races this year because I think he could have caught Verstappen towards the end of that last race. But instead, he finished like P9 or something. But now we can get into the actual race, and we're 33 minutes in. Oh, fucking hell. I really, really spoke long about that Max George rivalry, didn't I? And now we've got the whole race to go. To be fair, there's not actually that much in the race, and I've covered most of it. But if you're still here, honestly, power to you, because you get to a point where you're sick of just hearing your own voice, aren't you? But yeah, race rundown. Yep. Move of a world champion, that one. Piastri, Abu Dhabi 2024. You love to see it. I love a crash. Oh, I mean, in terms of things you love to see, like hyper-specific things, I love a crash on lap 1 at the front of the grid. like between like cars in the top five. Oh man, I love a crash around that kind of period. And they both spin out, and Max has like one of Max's best qualities of everything he can do. Qualifying, oh, the mental side, oh, the overtakes, the elbows, the defending, oh. One of his best things he can do is spinning out and then perfectly being straight again and going. Like he is so good. The amount of times where like you're praying for Max just to be human, and then it happens 1 in 100 times. And the one time he is human, he spins like the perfect example was this weekend, I think, where it's his qualifying, and he kind of like uh loses the car a bit or the rear or something, and he goes off, but then he just regains it so well, and he keeps the front tire in anyway, and then he crosses the lines, and it's like it's fine, and he still goes through type thing, and like other drivers would maybe like lose it there, or they wouldn't keep the tire in, so lose the lap time, or they'd whatever. He just like so the one time it happens in 100, it's like that was the chance, that was our chance, and he just span in a perfect circle and kept going on the exact, you know what I mean? He's just so good at that, and it happened in this race when he taps into Piastri, which by the way, so I love when they have those kind of crashes where it's just they just turn into synchronized ballerinas type thing, synchronized swimmers. They crash into each other and both perfectly do like a circle type thing, and then Science drove through the middle. It was just like a really good like that was better than someone could choreograph in like a fucking film or some shit. Brad Pitt. Um, but yeah, I'm not alluding to Brad Pitt giving under the table money to Max Verstappen for his film, which wouldn't even make sense because they're not filming the races for the film. So at best, he'd be giving table under the money for Max to give him some concept art or something. What I am alluding to is Ferrari giving Max Verstappen some under the table dosh for his newborn child. Not that he probably needs the extra money. Maybe not dosh, maybe just like compromising pictures of George Russell under the table for Max in order to just snipe Piastri out of the race and therefore help Ferrari in the constructors. Oscar Piastri, Fred Vasseur sends his regards. You know what I mean? Like that was just like a send it type thing, and went out, and he was calling, stupid idiots, 10-second penalty, fuck them. To which really, I can't remember which commentator said that. They really did not like that. You don't call the stewards idiots. That's too far. Everyone's got weird lines. Was it Brundle who said it? Can't remember. But everyone's got weird lines they won't cross. With George Russell, no, you don't call me two-faced. You've crossed a line here, you murderous bastard. And with the commentators, no, you don't call the commentators idiots. They are. And all the commentators stand there on radio multiple times and accidentally call Lewis Hamilton an 8-time world champion. Right, like that's just a thing. But don't call stewards idiots. No. He's the 8-time champion. Don't call stewards idiots then. That's too far. You don't do that, Max. Type thing. But yeah, it's just funny that afterwards apparently he apologized to Piastri when in the moment he's like, fuck these guys. But you're in the heat of the moment. I get it. Piastri and Verstappen were doing donuts on that track slightly early. I meant to wait, but neither of them are moving teams or whatever. Leclerc, great start. He's not my driver of the day. We'll go into that later, but great start. Just overtakes. I haven't been in a car in a long time, just because I don't know. I think when you're younger, the main reason you're usually in a car is because you can't exist as an adult in the world because you're a child, and therefore you're being dropped everywhere, mainly to school. And then the amount of time you spend in the car just really diminishes unless you learn to drive, which, spoiler alert, yeah. So this isn't a great CV at the moment. Can't drive, small podcast. These are all red flags. But you basically haven't been in a car in a while. You're usually in a car when you're a kid. And when I was in the car, I was in the car of people who, like, if you was in traffic or if you was in a lane where it was just being kind of slow, that, like, that that's just how slow it's gonna be today, type thing, and you just get over that. And I remember like I got in a car with one of my friends. I don't even remember who I saying one of my friends. I literally don't actually remember whose car I was in, but I was in someone's car, and this was the type of person where it's like, no, there is not just, oh, it's just slower today. There's just more congestion. It's, oh, it's slower today, which means we're gonna weave. We're going into this lane so we can pass two cars. Oh, now the traffic's building on the side. So now we're going back to the lane we started in. Now we're going to this lane. Okay, get past one car. Now we're going back, and it's like we're doing a whole thing type thing. And Leclerc did that, but to extreme proportions. I mean, his turning was on the left, but he took the risk. Like, yeah, I got to go on the flyover on the left there, but you know, because by the way, if you do this on the road, I don't even drive, but this is arsehole behavior. You know what I mean? But like, you've got to like turn left onto the roundabout or whatever, and so everyone's in the left lane, and you're like, fuck this. No one's in the right lane because no one's got to go right. So you jump in the right lane, you're like, overtake 10 cars, and then at the last second you try and turn in. You know what I mean? And what are you really saving here? Like 40 seconds? Was it that deep? But you know, that's what Leclerc did, and he did it to great effect. He's like, I mean, I'm just gonna, I mean, arguably he drove into the bus lane. You know, he goes down, he takes, you know, and he overtakes like 9 cars. 7, I think. But like, just crazy. Just crazy. I'm surprised no one else decided just to go for that. Oh, my knee, sorry. I've got to stretch out my knee. Oh. I'm surprised no one else wanted to go for that, but yeah. It was like, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, it's impressive because you got that many overtakes done in the first 3 laps. But it's also kind of just like, I mean, technically that, like, when you talk about, when you get the overtake award, like whoever made the most overtakes in a year, did they all count? Just like driving down the outside, just sort of, you know the meme of like, the Umbrella Academy, that used to go around a lot. That used to be used quite a lot. I've not seen that one in a while. That one's been put in room 101. But like with the guy looking out the window and the other guy driving past, like he's just going down past everyone. Do they all count towards his tally of overtakes? Because that feels wrong. Like they're all just counting. That's the sound of them going up in numbers. That's what you know. But I guess so. And he gets everyone in fair play. You know, fair play. Right place, right time. Make it happen. Make it work. Perez went out early. He ends in his notice early. He's gone. If he's in the sport next year, by the way, and he actually is right when he sits in the in interviews and he says, "I'm contracted to next year," it's just really going to be demoralizing to me. But you know, we'll see what happens. Verstappen finished like 7th for this race or 6th, which means he actually lost places, which I can't remember the last time that happened, which maybe it was recently, I don't know. But it feels like that never happens. But yeah, Verstappen started, I think, P4, and he actually went backwards, which is crazy. And he also did that at 10-second penalty, which changes like the race. But I feel like even if you give him 10 seconds, he still would have been behind George and Hamilton. And that's not like a one-to-one comparison because that's not how the butterfly effect works. If he didn't have that penalty, then he wouldn't have been in this position. They wouldn't have done that, and his strategy would have been different and all this and that. But like, still, I'm losing it, guys. I can barely sit up straight. But yeah. Also, I just want to apologize to Colapinto. He's gone. Piastri sent him home packing on your bike, son. And he will be on his bike because, I mean, he's on the radio crying. I got to live my dream, guys. Thanks. And yeah, he will be on a bike. He'll be handing in that rental he had. You know, he'll be, you know, the money's going down, guys. He's out of the sport. And to be honest, you got a good shot of maybe sitting on the sidelines, him and Magnussen, Cadillac, here we go, type thing. You son of a bitch, I'm in. You know, there's a chance of getting back in. You know, Ocon sat on the sidelines for a year. Albon sat on the sidelines for a year. But it is one of those things where it's just like it started so well. And everyone like wanted him. And then it was all just like, I'm better one, 100, 200, 250, you sir, you has 250, 350, 300, can I get a 400, 450, 450 to the man with the bowler hat type thing. And then like, I don't know, people saw like a scuff mark on the chart, on the, you know, what's it called? When you get a card. They saw a scuff on the shiny Charizard or whatever, and it took down the rating. And people started to notice maybe stuff about this particular item. And all of a sudden people are pulling out of the bid. And no one wants you anymore. And it's just like, it hurts. Like to come in and for it just to never have been on the table, but for it to come in and people are like, oh, we want this, we like this, and then you crash. And then you crash again in quali, and then you crash in the race, and maybe they're not even all entirely your fault at times, but just like, and all of a sudden everyone's just like, we're out. It's Dragon's Den, it's like, I'm out. Everyone just slowly steps back, and you're not wanted. But yeah, sorry, Colapinto. You can thank Piastri, because he could have at least had one final good drive today, maybe. And Piastri was like, no, sir, I'm going to peg you. Lawson, who the fuck Lawson? Oh, his own team. I guess this is the thing that hates me about certain penalties, because he comes in, the team make a mistake, because this is such a weird penalty to get, but like, I don't even give a fuck about what the reason is. If fucking retired Michael Massey wants to chirp up and tell me why it's such an excessive penalty. But you go in, your team makes what is their mistake. There is no advantage from doing this. Ty doesn't go on, he gets sent out. Already now, I've lost a bunch of time because I've got to go back in, they've got to put the tyre on properly, so it's going to be a slow stop anyway, and they've got to go back and do another pit stop. And then on top of that, you get another penalty. Like, was it a stop and go penalty? And it's like, I'm getting penalised for being shit. It's like if they was like, Perez, you qualified like shit. For boring everyone, we're going to give you a 30-second stop and go penalty. And it's just like, I'm already at a loss here. And then, it's just not ideal. Piastri still managed to land a point after he, spun out, went back, then got penalised. It's like he had his gun on the back of Verstappen's head. Like, world champion are we? That's real world champion move. Don't worry, Piastri. He's getting a 10-second penalty. Good. Pulls the trigger, shoots him, blows his fucking brains out. And then it's like good. But then he doesn't realise on the back of his head, Colapinto sends his regards. Bang, blows his fucking brains out. Like, so he had to come back from a long way. And manages just to get a point, which ultimately, sure, I mean, it's like it contributed in the end. Because he really made it like a Lando day. Like, Lando kind of won the constructors for his team, was all on his shoulders. He wins the race as well. It's kind of awkward because it's like, yay, we won the constructors. But and even though you did contribute, like you won, I think, how many? Piastri won 2 races this year, I think. Probably won a sprint race or something. Obviously gained a large amount of points, did well, is what I'm trying to say. He obviously contributed heavily. He's the other half of the contributions to this constructors. But then it just feels like on the last day, like, it's like in football, Michy Batshuayi won the league for Chelsea. Because he scored the winning goal against West Brom. But like, he wasn't the most important player, he didn't score the most goals that season. But just like, when you do the last action for the thing, it's like, I did the thing. You're doing a class assignment and you put the full stop on the end. You do the last thing, it's like, I did the thing. Lando did the thing at the end, Piastri didn't do anything at the end, so it kind of just feels like I didn't contribute, but I've got to celebrate and act like I'm gassed. Because I know on the inside you're kind of probably just a bit like, meh. You know what I mean? Especially him. But Gasly went through the whole season. I think the first time in history someone's gone through the whole season with 0 damages, which at first I have it written down here more along the lines of like fair play Piastri. I mean, he deserves like a lifetime supply of, he deserves a seat for life. Like, in a sport where you're basically guaranteed to damage your car or like cost the team money, to not do that, you're basically and this is like girl math, you're basically making your team money. What's his name? Gasly basically makes us money by not making us fork out millions on damages. But at the same time, now I think about it, is Piastri, why do I keep saying Piastri? Is Pierre Gasly special? I know he had a good end to the last races and stuff, but what does it mean to do that? Is that just luck? Well, people have been lucky multiple times. Piastri's the 4th person, I think, this year to complete every single lap or something. That's good luck type thing. Is this just luck? Is this actually a bad omen? Piastri is the first driver in history do not cost his team a single penny. What I'm trying to get at is the sport getting too clean? Are the drivers too good now? Are they too good at utilizing like the rule book? Are we not getting enough overtakes? Like, I don't think we should exist in a world where a driver's not costing their team at least like 50 quid for like in the swear jar or something. You know? So like, going like, because obviously there's no chance that's happening in like back in the olden days, and you're driving around in a fucking glorified bathtub, right? You know, there is no not like that's, you know, but now are the cars like too reliable as well, type thing? Because like I do feel like we've seen less crashes in general. And look, I know crashes are dangerous. Obviously, in my mind, I want crashes. Everyone gets out fine. But like, I do feel like we have seen less. I feel like we've seen less from the front, and I just wonder why. And that's all. That's all. What else we got here though? I'm fading. Oh yeah, Hamilton catches George. That's like my thing of the weekend. Like, I love that. Oh my god, I love that. George started what, P5, I think. Hamilton P16, I think. And he catches him, and again, it's the tale as old as time. It's the you start there, I'll start here. We'll end in the same place. And to be fair, this isn't that deep because it's not like George still gained a position at that point. Like, it's really bad when George starts P4, Hamilton starts P15, and they both finish like P7, P8. That's when it's more worse because it's like you fell down, I rose up. But like, if you start further ahead, there's only so much further forward you can go. So this wasn't actually damning on George or anything, but it's just impressive still. And it did well today for Hamilton. And like, I'm sorry, there ain't a single person in this world, and apparently there is, and I don't even want to shine light on that, but in my mind, there should not be a single person in this world who isn't watching those last few laps and is just like going, yes, catch him, I want you to catch him. Like, even George Russell's mum sitting there being like, hammer time, you know, like, what in what world and scenario did anyone sit there and go, oh, I hope Hamilton doesn't overtake George on the last lap? And like, you get these fucking party killers online. I mean, George obviously just let him pass there. And it's like, yeah, George made it easy, sure. Like, if he really wanted to, he could have pushed him wide as fuck. But at the same time, he read the room. He's like, yeah, if he wants to get past me, he's going to have to pull it around the outside and stuff. It's not like people are acting like he's slowed on the straight or something. Like, yeah, if he can like put on the outside around me, then sure, he'll get the place. He's not going to like push him off track and just like, he didn't kill the vibe, basically. He's like, he didn't out and out let him pass. But like, you know, he kept it clean enough, and it's just like, you know what, and I rate that from George there. He read the room. He read the room. And normally, like, it's a tight, like, does it really matter? You got caught by your teammate by 14 seconds who started P16. Whether he got you on that lap or he just didn't have enough to get past you, in essence, the same thing happened. Like, Hamilton still had as good of a weekend. This is a cherry on top. I loved it. And these people poo-pooing it, it's like, oh my god, man. Jesus Christ, you're boring. Get out. Firstly, I mean, what wrongin' is genuinely going, George, let him do it. Or God forbid saying, I hope George keeps Lewis behind. Oh, what a weirdo. Not Toto Wolff, not George Russell's mum, not... Who else cares? Not a single person wants that. But, you know. Unless you're a bet on or something, I guess. And he overtakes him. And also they went into this race on level on points. So I just love the fact that at least we left this. I don't care if it's by like 2 points. Hamilton outscored him over 3 years, which I'm taking that. Yeah. Let me go on Twitter real quick just to make sure there isn't anything I need to talk about. I'm probably going to do another one of these next week. Because I want to react to my predictions and stuff that I made. They're definitely terrible. I definitely shoot some wild shots when it comes to predictions and stuff. But you know, you've got to, like, I don't remember, but I almost definitely didn't say Max was gonna win. I remember two things. I probably didn't say Max was gonna win the driver championship. Well, oh, shoot me. You know, I dream a little. I have hope. And I think I said Daniel Ricciardo would win a race.
Assuming he was going to be in a Red Bull seat.
Yeah, so neither of those two things happened, in case you didn't notice. So that is a shame. And sorry, I'm just reading a couple articles here about if there's anything I needed to speak about. Just Max getting penalty points, really, nothing too interesting. And yes, we can get to the soft, medium, and hard awards basically. And I'll check my likes actually. Usually I like a Formula One post. If there's anything I need to bring up, but I mean, I'm looking at this Damon Hill. This is where I saw people like poo pooing it, and the angle of where he gets the overtake on the outside, and it's like that's not George letting it. Like we saw other drivers do the same thing. Like George could have let him into the chicane part, or that whatever you call it, which before this second DRS zone, like Hamilton was on mediums that were fresher than George's hards or whatever, and therefore he could have the grip to hang it around the outside. Like I don't think it's not like George wasn't accelerating through that corner. People just gotta stop. Just stop watching the sport if you're gonna watch it wrong. You know what I mean? Anyway, soft I'm gonna give to Piastri, I guess, because like he just didn't contribute. I mean, he got taken out; it's not his fault. But then he drove into the back of Colapinto, which I don't kind of like because he just killed a kid's dream. and and he seemed. I don't remember him saying anything like "ah." Maybe he did say sorry, but he just seemed pretty soulless about it, which is kind of sad. And yeah, he came back for like a point. I don't know. He gets a soft, sure. Mid, I'm actually going to give to Leclerc mainly because I'm just going to give Hamilton the hard one. Whoa, that's a mad sentence. But mainly just because, yeah, he made a lot of overtakes. He made more than Hamilton. He came from further back and finished ahead and was on the podium. But he made most of those overtakes within the same 50-meter section in like one go. And to me, it's like, it's more impressive to like get people individually and slowly go forward throughout the race than to get like 8 in one move. Because, you know, I feel like, yeah, you know. So, but he obviously still did an amazing job. Like I'm not gonna, you know, and he worked hard, and he was drinking. He was really drinking. One like okay, you've had enough, buddy. Like he was up there on that podium, and he was chugging it like midnight, you know, water chugging. It's sort of both hands on the bottle, like a big baby. Just like, and you don't usually see him drink it. Sometimes they take like a sure I'm up here. They swig it. He was like both hands on the bottle, just sort of going for it. That's what you call drowning your sorrows. Okay, buddy. Yeah, okay. Look, yeah, you've had enough, mate. Okay. And then they have to sit in that cool down room, which was so awkward. Because it didn't really feel like a room. Usually it feels like a segregated place where they can have their little podcast, whatever. Or this was like an open space. And the second we got to him, I don't know who that guy is, if he's like the president of something, um, who was like buddying with everyone. Like he was shouting at everyone, like, Lando, listen to my joke. Like making little comments and stuff as if everyone has like a rapport and like we're all friends and like, oh, see you on Christmas. Like we'll be coming around. Like, oh, Secret Santa type. Like we're all buddy. And it was just very awkward. Oi, what's up? And it's just like, hey man, like there is probably a Drewski sketch out there that perfectly like imitates that kind of person, but it was just awkward. And yeah, Hamilton hard gained less but did more for me. Okay, just slapped my stomach. Don't know why. Anyway, 50. Oh my god, an hour. I mean, technically this is like a length of podcast it's actually supposed to be, but for me this is like, this is graft, right? But there was a lot to cover, and it's the final one of the season, so it's just like, let's do it. Going to react to my race predictions. Maybe do some like sort of season awards or something. Maybe some early. No, we're not going to predict next year. That's fucking ludicrous. But yeah, there'll be a couple more of these, and then I'm gonna have to try and think of some sort of format to do weekly until the new season because I can't just stop for 3 months. That is absurd. But yeah, I don't know. It feels sort of anticlimactic. I've not got any sort of streamers or party poppers or anything. It's just that's the season. Max won. Hamilton 4 wins from 8 poles. That's just how the cookie crumbles. Next year's my year. That might age horribly. Odds on, we get odds on going to the end. That's all.